Have you ever stopped to wonder why, despite living in the most comfortable era in human history, men are more miserable than ever? You have endless entertainment, infinite choices, and unparalleled convenience. Yet, a quiet desperation haunts the modern man. You are making one fatal mistake, and it is costing you your peace, your power, and your true potential. You are chasing happiness as if it were a physical object you can buy, catch, or manipulate into existence. Society has convinced you that a good life means feeling good all the time. This is a massive, deliberate lie. It is designed to keep you consuming, reacting, and hoping for a better tomorrow that never arrives. The truth, known only to a fraction of a percent of men, is that the relentless pursuit of happiness is exactly what makes you weak. It makes you a slave to your environment. Today, we are going to dismantle this illusion. We will explore the elite psychological framework of modern Stoicism. This is not about wearing a stone face or hiding your pain. It is about acquiring a level of absolute emotional control that makes you virtually untouchable. By the end of this session, you will understand how to forge an unbreakable mind. Let us begin. To understand the solution, you must first recognize the trap. Look around you. The modern world is engineered to hijack your attention and destabilize your emotions. Every screen, every advertisement, and every social interaction is designed to make you feel inadequate. You are taught that if you just get the right job, the right partner, or the right amount of respect, you will finally feel satisfied. But what happens when the job gets stressful? What happens when the partner leaves? What happens when the world disrespects you? Your entire foundation collapses. The average man lives his life on an emotional roller coaster, completely dependent on external validation. When things go well, he is elated. When things go poorly, he is devastated. He has zero sovereignty over his own mind. He is essentially a puppet, and circumstances pull his strings. Historically, strong men understood that relying on the external world for internal stability was a fool's errand. They cultivated a fortress within themselves. But in today's soft culture, we have forgotten this art. We celebrate victimhood. We normalize fragility. If you want to rise above the noise and claim your power, you must adopt a fundamentally different approach to life. You must stop trying to control the world and start controlling your response to it. The illusion of modern happiness is the first concept we must destroy. Most men believe that happiness is a permanent state of joy, achieved only when all conditions in life align perfectly. This is a mathematical impossibility. Life is inherently chaotic, unpredictable, and entirely indifferent to your plans. If your contentment relies on the stars aligning, you will spend 99% of your life in misery, waiting for a brief moment of relief. The elite mind understands that satisfaction is not a destination. It is a byproduct of competence and alignment with your deeper values. When you stop demanding that the universe make you happy, you instantly reclaim your power. You stop whining about unfairness. You stop feeling cheated by reality. This shift in perspective is the first step toward true emotional independence. It is what separates a strong man from a perpetual victim. You must accept that difficulty is the default state of existence. Let us examine the difference between cheap dopamine and deep satisfaction. Society sells you shortcuts to feeling good. Fast food, mindless scrolling, pornography, and superficial validation. These are cheap dopamine hits. They provide a temporary spike in pleasure, followed by a devastating crash that leaves you feeling emptier than before. You are trading your long-term psychological stability for a fleeting moment of distraction. This is a terrible investment. True satisfaction is earned, never given. It is forged in the fires of discipline and delayed gratification. When you complete a brutal workout, finish a complex project, or hold your tongue when you are angry, you build self-respect. Self-respect is the only foundation upon which lasting peace can be built. You cannot respect a man who cannot control his impulses, especially if that man is yourself. The strong man actively rejects cheap pleasure in favor of meaningful friction. Why chasing positive emotions makes you fragile. It sounds counterintuitive, but the desperate need to feel good makes you incredibly weak. If you're terrified of feeling sad, angry, or disappointed, you will avoid any situation that carries risk. You will stay in your comfort zone, which slowly becomes your prison. You become a hostage to your own emotional comfort. The modern Stoic does not flee from negative emotions. He invites them in, examines them, and uses them as fuel. When you accept that pain and discomfort are inevitable, they lose their power over you. You stop negotiating with your fears. You look anxiety in the eye and proceed anyway. This is the essence of courage. The man who can endure negative states without breaking is the most dangerous man in any room. He cannot be manipulated by threats, and he cannot be bought with cheap rewards. He is entirely self-sufficient. The Stoic Fortress. Imagine your mind as an ancient, impenetrable citadel. Outside its walls, a storm is raging. There are wars, economic collapses, betrayal, and noise. Most men live outside the walls. They are battered by the wind and rain, constantly reacting to the chaos. The elite man lives inside the fortress. He observes the storm from a high tower, completely dry and untouched. This fortress is built through the daily practice of detachment. It is the realization that you are not your circumstances. You are the observer of your circumstances. When you build this internal architecture, you stop taking the world so personally. If someone cuts you off in traffic, it happens outside the walls. If you lose money, it happens outside the walls. Your core identity remains perfectly secure. Building this fortress requires relentless vigilance. You must constantly monitor what you allow through the gates of your mind. Reactivity is the lowest form of existence. When you instantly react to a provocation, you surrender your power to the provocateur. You tell them that their words or actions are strong enough to disrupt your internal peace. Think about how pathetic that is. You are handing the keys to your emotional state to a stranger, a co-worker, or a toxic partner. The gap between stimulus and response is where your power lies. A highly developed man cultivates this gap. He feels the urge to shout, to strike, or to defend his ego, but he pauses. In that pause, he exercises ultimate sovereignty. He chooses his response with cold, calculated precision. Often, the most devastating response is absolute silence. Silence cannot be misinterpreted. It cannot be used against you. It simply reflects the absolute insignificance of the person trying to bother you. Master the pause, and you master the game. The immense power of ultimate indifference. There is a misconception that Stoicism is about not caring about anything. This is false. Stoicism is about caring deeply about a very small number of things and being completely indifferent to everything else. You only have a limited amount of emotional energy each day. If you spend it getting angry at the news, arguing with fools online, or worrying about what your neighbours think, you will have zero energy left for your own growth. You must become ruthlessly selective about what earns your attention. Treat your attention like elite currency. Do not spend it on trash. When you develop a profound indifference to the irrelevant, you free up massive amounts of mental bandwidth. You become laser-focused on your goals. You move through the world with a calm, heavy presence. People notice this. They respect the man who cannot be distracted by petty dramas. Desire is a chain around your neck. Every time you say, "I need this to be happy," you forge another link in the chain that binds you. You are literally declaring your own inadequacy. Society profits heavily from your endless desires. If you were truly content, the economy would collapse. You are bombarded with messages telling you that you are not enough unless you own this product or achieve this status. To break free, you must practice the discipline of wanting less. This does not mean you abandon ambition. It means you detach your sense of self-worth from the outcome of your ambition. You strive for excellence because it is your nature as a strong man, not because you desperately need the reward. When you operate from a place of sufficiency, you make better decisions. You negotiate with power because you are willing to walk away. The man who needs nothing is the man who controls everything. Absolute ownership of your mental state. No one can make you angry without your consent. Let that sink in. Anger, frustration, and sadness are not things that happen to you. They are emotional choices you make in response to external events. As long as you blame others for how you feel, you remain a helpless victim. Oh, she made me mad. He ruined my day. The weather depressed me. This is the language of the weak. The elite man takes 100% responsibility for his internal weather. If he is angry, he owns it. He examines why his ego was triggered. He traces the emotion back to its root, which is usually an unmet expectation. By taking radical ownership, you reclaim the steering wheel of your life. It is a heavy burden, which is why most men refuse to pick it up. But it is the only path to true psychological liberation. You must be the absolute dictator of your inner world. The myth of perfect conditions. How many times have you said to yourself, I will finally be at peace when I pay off this debt, or when I get that promotion, or when the weekend arrives? You are living in an imaginary future. You are postponing your life. The reality is that the horizon constantly shifts. Once you reach that goal, your brain will immediately invent a new problem to worry about. This is human nature. The modern Stoic recognizes this trick of the mind. He understands that the present moment, with all its flaws and challenges, is the only place where life actually happens. If you cannot find a way to be grounded and calm in the middle of the storm right now, you will not find peace when the storm passes. You must train yourself to find deep satisfaction in the struggle itself. The process is the goal. The obstacle is the path. Stop waiting for life to get easier and start becoming stronger. How the elite mind processes disrespect. The average man shatters when his ego is challenged. Someone insults him and his day is ruined. His blood pressure spikes. He plots revenge or stews in resentment. This is the behavior of a deeply fragile mind. When you react to an insult, you validate it. You tell the other person that their opinion has the power to alter your reality. A man grounded in modern Stoic principles views disrespect as a reflection of the attacker, not the victim. If a madman shouts at you on the street, you do not argue with him. You observe his madness and keep walking. The same principle applies to everyday life. When someone attempts to degrade you, they are handing you an opportunity to practice emotional control. You simply observe the attempt. You do not absorb it. By remaining silent and completely unfazed, you assert an overwhelming dominance. You demonstrate that your internal fortress cannot be breached by mere words. Emotional anchoring in the storm. Life will inevitably hit you with tragedies. People you love will pass away, businesses will fail, health will decline. Stoicism is not about smiling through these disasters. It is about dropping an emotional anchor so deep that the waves cannot capsize your ship. This anchor is your core philosophy. It is the unwavering belief that whatever happens, you have the internal resources to handle it. You do not wish for an easy life. You pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. When crisis strikes, the weak panic. They look for someone to blame. The strong man goes quiet. He assesses the situation with cold clarity. He asks himself one simple question. What is the optimal next move? He separates the facts of the situation from the narrative of suffering. This level of emotional stability makes you the pillar of strength for everyone around you. You become the lighthouse in the dark. The silent power of having no opinion. In the modern era, everyone feels obligated to have an opinion on everything. Global politics, celebrity scandals, the behavior of strangers. We are suffocated by the noise of constant judgment. Having an opinion on things outside your control is a massive drain on your mental energy. It creates unnecessary agitation. One of the most powerful Stoic practices is the art of saying, I have no opinion on this. You do not have to form a judgment. You do not have to pick a side in every argument. By withholding your judgment, you preserve your peace. You look at a situation, acknowledge its existence, and let it go. This drives the masses crazy. They want you down in the mud, arguing with them. When you refuse to engage, you elevate yourself above the fray. You reclaim hours of wasted mental processing time. Keep your opinions rare, and they will become highly valuable. Radical acceptance of reality. Suffering is what happens when you argue with reality. You get fired and you think, this should not have happened. You get sick and you think, this is not fair. You are fighting a war against what already is, and it is a war you will lose 100% of the time. The elite strategist does not waste a single second wishing things were different. He operates on radical acceptance. It happened. It is real. Now, what do I do about it? This does not mean you approve of the bad things that happen. It simply means you accept their existence without emotional resistance. Resistance creates friction, and friction creates heat and exhaustion. Acceptance creates a smooth surface. It allows you to pivot instantly. While the average man is still crying over spilled milk, the strong man is already buying a new cow. Deal with the world exactly as it is, not as you wish it to be. Divorcing your ego from the outcome. The greatest source of anxiety for ambitious men is the fear of failure. You pour your blood, sweat, and tears into a project, a relationship, or a business. You desperately want it to succeed. But the harsh, stoic truth is that the outcome is never entirely in your control. Markets crash, people lie, unforeseen variables emerge. If your self-worth is tied to the result, you will live in perpetual terror. The solution is to completely divorce your ego from the outcome. You attach your pride entirely to the effort. Did you do the work? Did you operate with integrity? Did you leave nothing on the table? If the answer is yes, then you have already won, regardless of the external result. You become process-oriented rather than outcome-oriented. This shift makes you completely fearless. You take massive, calculated risks because you know that a failure does not diminish your value as a man. The discipline of perception. Things are not inherently good or bad. It is our perception that makes them so. A heavy rainstorm is terrible if you are trying to have a picnic, but it is a blessing if you are a farmer in a drought. The event is neutral. The judgment creates the emotion. You have the ultimate power to reframe any situation to serve your growth. This is the psychological superpower of the 1%. When a disaster strikes, you force your brain to find the advantage. You lose your job? Excellent! You were getting comfortable, and now you are forced to evolve. A relationship ends? Perfect! You now have the silence and space to rebuild yourself. This is not toxic positivity. It is tactical reframing. You refuse to let the world dictate the meaning of your experiences. You write the script. By doing this, you turn every obstacle into fuel. You become an unstoppable force that literally feeds on adversity. Comfort is the slow poison of satisfaction. A life of pure comfort is the most dangerous existence a man can lead. When you have no struggles, no cold mornings, no heavy weights to lift, your mind begins to invent problems. You become highly sensitive to minor inconveniences. A slow internet connection feels like a tragedy. This is the tragic fate of modern man. To maintain an edge, you must artificially inject discomfort into your daily life. You take the cold shower. You lift the heavy iron. You speak the difficult truth. You fast. You seek out physical and mental friction intentionally. This daily inoculation against comfort builds a callus on your mind. When real tragedy strikes, you are already accustomed to enduring discomfort. You do not break. You have conditioned your nervous system to remain calm under pressure. Discomfort is the sharp stone on which you grind the blade of your character. Transforming anger into calculated focus. Anger is a natural male emotion, but letting it explode wildly is the behavior of a child. Uncontrolled anger makes you look foolish, and it makes you highly vulnerable to manipulation. If a competitor can make you angry, he can make you blind. The elite man does not suppress his anger, he captures it. He treats it like highly volatile rocket fuel. Instead of letting it explode outward in a destructive fireball, he funnels it into a narrow engine of focus. Someone betrays you? Do not scream. Let that dark energy drive you to outwork them, outsmart them, and outlast them. Use the rage to build your empire. Use the disrespect to fuel your workouts until you are physically and mentally unrecognizable. This is the alchemy of the strong man. He takes the toxic sludge the world throws at him and converts it into pure, unstoppable momentum. The invisible boundaries of a strong man. You cannot achieve peace if you do not have boundaries. Many men believe that being stoic means being a doormat, quietly enduring abuse from others. This is a complete misinterpretation. A true stoic has boundaries made of solid steel. He simply enforces them without emotional hysterics. If someone crosses a line, you do not need to shout. You do not need to throw a tantrum. You calmly and firmly state the boundary. If they cross it again, you remove your presence. Access to your energy, your time, and your attention is a privilege, not a right. When you withdraw that access quietly and permanently, it strikes more fear into an opponent than 1,000 angry words. You must value yourself enough to walk away from anything that disrupts your internal architecture. Your peace is the most expensive thing you own. Do not let cheap people rent space in your head. Becoming a ghost to societal validation. The final boss in the quest for ultimate freedom is the need for external approval. From childhood, you are trained to seek the applause of the crowd, good grades, likes on social media, the admiring glances of strangers. As long as you crave this, the crowd owns you. They hold the remote control to your emotions. To achieve supreme satisfaction, you must become a ghost to their opinions. You must reach a point where praise and criticism sound exactly the same to you. They are just wind blowing through the trees. When you stop trying to prove yourself to the world, a massive weight lifts off your shoulders. You stop performing. You start living. You make decisions based solely on your own uncompromising moral code. You walk with a quiet, terrifying confidence because you have absolutely nothing to prove. You are no longer playing their game. You have created your own. The final stage of enduring peace. This brings us to the ultimate realization. True happiness, the kind that cannot be stolen by time or tragedy, is simply the absence of internal conflict. It is the absolute harmony between your actions and your values. It is looking in the mirror and knowing that you are the master of your own soul. You do not hope for an easy path. You know the path will be brutal, and you smile at the challenge. You have built the fortress. You have mastered the pause. You have dropped the anchor. You no longer fear the storm because you have become the storm. The masses will continue to run on their treadmills, crying over spilled milk, begging the world to make them feel good. Let them. You have a different destiny. You belong to the elite few who have decoded the matrix of human emotion. You are untouchable. You are unbreakable. And in this absolute sovereignty, you finally find what every man seeks: total and unrelenting peace. The path to becoming a truly powerful man is not paved with endless pleasures and cheap dopamine. It is built on the cold, hard rock of self-discipline, emotional detachment, and an unyielding internal standard. The masses will never understand this. They will continue to chase a mirage of happiness, growing weaker and more anxious with every passing year. But you are no longer one of them. You have the blueprint. You know that true satisfaction is the absolute mastery over your own mind. It is time to stop reacting to the world like a frightened child and start shaping your reality like a king. Build your fortress. Drop your anchor. Become the man who remains entirely unbothered by the chaos around him. Thank you for walking this path with us. If you have the discipline to apply these principles, your life will change in ways the average man cannot even comprehend. Now, take action. I want you to drop down into the comments and answer this one question. What is the one external factor, the one uncontrollable thing in your life that you are going to completely stop caring about starting today? Write it down. Make the commitment. Subscribe if you are ready to master your mind. Stay strong, stay stoic.